Hi there, and welcome everyone to the webinar Opportunities of Global IoT Connectivity, hosted today by KPN IoT. My name is Jasper Kuhn. I'm director of the KPN IoT Academy, where we for more than 6 years now explore the exciting new possibilities of Internet of Things. Together with customers like yourself and with a strong ecosystem of vendors, of manufacturers, and of educational institutions, we initiate and accelerate IoT innovation. And normally, of course, we do that right here in the Netherlands from the KPN IoT Academy, where I'm situated at the moment. Of course, due to Corona, we went online. And how appropriate is that today, since we'll be discussing international IoT connectivity with you. And at the moment, we have participants from all over the world watching this webinar. Very welcome. Today, we will have 3 guests, 2 of which are here at the table. On my left side, yours on the right, is Paul Koning, Director Sales of IoT International. Hi, Paul.
Hi.
Very nice to have you here.
Thank you.
And on the other side is Bram van der Nouweland, Senior Product Manager of IoT, also at KPN.
Hello. Thank you.
Nice to have you here. For the next 45 minutes or so, they will be exploring and discussing with you the capabilities of KPN IoT and the network capabilities in more depth. And we would very much like your opinion on this as well. And for that, you might have noticed already, on the bottom of your screen, we have a Slido function for you. It's called Slido, and it's a second screen, which you can activate via your laptop, which you're watching now, or perhaps it's more useful to do it with your cell phone. If you do it with your cell phone, you can ask questions to Paul or to Bram or to the other speakers. And please do so. It's very easy to fix, and it makes the interaction more useful. Let's start, before we start with the expert, both seasoned IoT professionals, I would like to introduce the first speaker, a seasoned captain of industry as well. It's Mr. Babak Fouladi, and he is member of the board of KPN and Chief Technology and Digital Officer. And what better way to let him introduce the company he works with. Unfortunately, he works and lives in the UK, in London. So if I'm not mistaken, we have a connection with him. Hi, Babak. Welcome to this webinar, and thank you for joining.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me. It's really a pleasure. Too bad I can't be there in person, but it's really a pleasure to be with you virtually.
Now, you've worked all over the world for big telecom operators and vendors like Vodafone, MTN in South Africa, and Ericsson. How do you pitch the KPN organization to people in your network that might not know KPN as well as you do?
Yeah, we have a tagline within our companies, KPN, the Network of Netherlands. We really believe that what we have built is part of the foundation of the society connected. And we pride ourselves in being sustainable. We've won the award for most sustainable telco. And we're an innovator. And we have a lot of partnerships around the world, roaming partners. We are patents and innovations all across the world and working with a lot of different people around the world, such as yourselves as well. But we take pride in being customer-centric and building the best connectivity and services for our customers for a digital society. Very much part of our DNA.
And could you tell us about your ambition at KPN and how customers can benefit from this?
Correct. Our ambition is always to provide the best service to our customers. That's the top of the pyramid in our ambition. How do we do that? We believe the foundation of a digital society is connectivity. So we're rolling out massive amounts of fiber. We're doing around 100K, over 100K a quarter, and moving it up to 200K a quarter. If you combine all of the other operators in Netherlands doing fiber, the sum of that is less than what we're doing. So we're going all out to fiberize the country. On top of that, building the best mobile network, mobile fixed, building a digital foundation for the society. Then on top of that, we're digitizing our services, digitizing the way we work inside, and digitizing the systems and the platforms that our customers use. And of course, to do the digitalization both on the infrastructure and the applications, the way we work inside as well quite matter. So we're doing a lot of rationalization. We've been around for a long time. We have technologies like copper that we're replacing with fiber, or a lot of rationalization of data centers or cloudification of our applications. So you put that all together, but we do all of that with the top technology in mind, with the ambition to be the best, not only in Netherlands, but in the world, with a customer-centric view.
And how do these international customers benefit from this digital society we're getting into?
Well, let's talk about 5G. 5G is one of our biggest, we've just, from 3 independent benchmark providers, and there's 3 top ones only, we have been named the best 5G network in the country. So not only have we put the best technology on the ground to be able to get the best 5G service out there, we've approached it completely differently. We've approached 5G as a business case. How does 5G benefit our customers? So we have put business applications on top of it. Maybe guaranteed bandwidth, or fast internet, or slicing of the networks. Those are all integrated as offers to our customers. And of course, one of the biggest advancements of 5G is, rather than connecting people, is connecting things. And that's exploding. The IoT market is exploding. We know so many of these use cases that will depend on the low latency and the high speed that 5G provides, and we're the top on that. So internationalization of our service, international customers using our IoT services will benefit significantly for the investments that we've made, not only on the fiber, which not only is fiber to the home, but the fiber backbone, but also the 5G network that is on top of it, which, as I said, is the top in the country.
Well, thank you very much, Babak. We're going to continue talking about the IoT and 5G opportunities during this webinar. Thank you very much again.
It's my pleasure.
And hope to see you soon.
I hope to see you soon as well. Thank you very much. All the best.
All the best. Bye-bye. Wow, Paul. What a passionate CTO you've got there.
Yeah, we're lucky to have him, yes.
Thank you for joining. You run the international IoT team, but Babak said that actually sells also international, the IoT portfolio. For the people who might not know KPN IoT that well, could you tell a little bit about the department you work with and your international sales team?
Sure, that's very happy to do so. So, yeah, we started around 12 years ago when there was a big buzz around Internet of Things. And we were lucky enough to get the resources to build a dedicated team to further venture into this new business, which was very exciting. I was there nearly from the start. I was, I think, employee number 5.
Wow.
And I always say we must have done something right, because today we're more than 100 people with, let's say, very high educated, dedicated and enthusiastic employees. In the meantime, we've rolled out more than 7 million active connections across the globe. And that's also a bridge to the international part, because in the early days we already found out this was a global game we had to play. So again, also in the early years we decided to enhance our team with hiring dedicated sales specialists in the countries around us. And today we have a team of international account managers in the countries UK, Germany, Italy, France. And we also are very happy to have a dedicated telematics and automotive expert in our team.
Okay. So how does this work when, if, for example, a customer from Italy wants to contact KPN, then
Well,
how does it go?
I always say have a look at our website. So good moment in time to plug our website, which it's under construction always, but it's it's also just finished, so have a look if you haven't had a look yet. It's m2m.kpn.com, where you can also find the details of these people, but also happy to take your call or your email. You can email me directly, paul.koning@kpn.com, and I will guide you further.
Okay. And one of your peoples actually go visit all over the globe customers.
If that's needed, that's what we can do. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, great. Well, thanks for having you and for this introduction.
There's one more slide to go, and that's about the international reseller distribution channel we
your
have.
distribution model.
Exactly, because these people, of course, can't cover the globe themselves. We have a strong network of business partners. A couple of them are now on the slide. I think these are the most dedicated and prominent ones. Maybe names you recognize already, so you can also knock on their doors with questions about KPN connectivity, and they'll be happy to help you as well.
And they resell it to
Absolutely.
end customers.
Yes.
Yes. Well, hopefully they're also there in this webinar, and hopefully the customers are there as well, so they can connect via your email, paul.koning@kpn.com. Got it. Thank you, Paul. You're sticking around during this webinar and add, if you like, anything to the story.
Yep.
Well, Bram, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're the guy who makes it all happen. What Paul and his team is promising and delivering. You're making sure that these 700 million SIM cards every day, it sounds like a crazy number, run smoothly and correctly.
We would be happy to have 700 million, but it's only 7 million active SIM cards.
Only 7 million. Sounds like a lot.
Yeah, but that's correct. Let me introduce that. 12 years ago, we started with a separate division for KPN IoT, focusing on machine to machine. At that moment, IoT didn't exist yet. The word IoT was not invented yet, Internet of Things. So M2M, machine to machine, was what we delivered, and we decided to split it up, make a separate division for that, introducing a product which I call M2M connectivity, delivering a SIM card with mobile connectivity over the KPN network. We started that 12 years ago, and it grew and it grew, not only by the number of people that work at KPN IoT, now about 100 people, but also, as you mentioned, about the number of SIMs that are active all around the world. So we are growing, and it's my job to make sure that they all keep communicating, that the connection stays alive. By the way, my name is Bram van der Nouweland, just product manager of machine-to-machine, M2M connectivity.
We're going to email Paul, but for the tough questions, we go to you.
I get an email from
Okay,
him.
got it.
Yes.
Would be more exciting to let foreign people spell Bram van der Nouweland at kpn.com.
So hopefully the Koning is easier.
I think so.
And 7 million SIMs is one, but we see that in the future everything will be connected to everything. Actually not to everything, but it always goes via a back-end system. But it will grow rapid, and therefore it's very important that you have solid solutions, solid connection. Let's focus on one of these connections first to get a better explanation why the solution of KPN is so useful for you. First of all, if we look at, for instance, a sensor which is somewhere in the network, there must be a connection to a backend system. The sensor, your IoT device, makes a data connection somewhere from all over the world, over the mobile networks to your backend system. And then the backend system can deliver information in all kinds of applications or vice versa. Information from your backend system goes to the sensor or to the device which is over there. Both directions are possible, but there is quite a lot of things behind it, because if you look at this graphic which I presented over there, it's a simple line, a simple arrow on one side and the other side, and that's it. But is it really that easy? If we look at M2M connectivity, I always split it up in 4 pillars. Pillar 1 is, of course, the SIM card. Everybody can deliver a SIM card, but sometimes your solution needs special SIM cards. A chip SIM, which is more or less like embedded, soldered on the circuit board. Or you need a SIM card that is capable of shocks of high temperatures. We call that industrial grade SIM cards. All kinds of SIM cards we have at stock, we have available directly, not within half a year, but we have them already at stock. Then of course you need a network, not one network, but a lot of networks, because you do this all around the world. On top of that, you need to have a platform that manages all these SIMs. 7 million SIMs is a lot. Quite a lot of customers have really a lot of SIMs, and in that case it's very important that you have all kinds of ways to automate the management. Therefore we have a platform based on a Cisco IoT Control Center. Used to be Jasper Wireless. That's the top one supplier of IoT management platforms. But then you're not there yet. At the end, the information has to go to the back end of your own back-end system, and for that you need a connection from the mobile network to the back-end system. That connection could be simply over the internet, but it can also be an IPsec or a special dedicated VPN or a cloud connection or a firewall with special settings. All kinds of different solutions are available, and we deliver that as one product, as one solution for you. So you don't have to shop for every part at different people, you get it all in one solution. That's what we call M2M connectivity. And that's the thing that makes us different, I think. Everybody can buy a data SIM and then start using it, but at the end, the total solution is the thing that you need, that has to work with you and with each other. If we look then at this SIM card with this connection, then again you would say, well, I can find that at the competitors, I can find it everywhere, I can find it at a small player, an MVNO, that delivers that as well. Yes, of course, that's true, but one of our core focuses is always to be one step ahead of all these others. We are separate from KPN by KPN IoT due to the with as goal to be able to innovate, to be able to be flexible. If we look at our innovations, for instance, as mentioned, the SIM, we don't only have a standard SIM card, we have chip SIMs, we have SIMs with remote SIM provisioning capabilities available. We are like a pioneer on that field with remote SIM provisioning. All kinds of things around the SIM. We are looking at possibilities, what happens, what is useful for customers, what is useful for everybody. That's one. If you look at the network, we were one of the first networks that rolled out LTE-M, the special, well, call it network within LTE, 4G, that allows low power, wide area networks, so solutions which don't need lots of data, but must be a cheap part of hardware combining with a connection. We were one of the first to roll it out, and not only roll it out in the Netherlands, we were also one of the first to make sure that it worked international. So all kinds of roaming agreements with other parties. We now have over 15 other operators to be able to connect to with LTE-M. On top of that, connection to your backend system. Not only fixed lines, IPsec connections, but also think about what will happen if I go to the cloud. If my backend system is not in my basement anymore, but somewhere in the cloud, how do I work with that? We look at that, we work on that. And last but not least, of course, 5G. 5G, as mentioned by Babak, is one of the new steps in mobile networks, and this step will make sure that all kinds of IoT solutions will grow rapidly. We made sure that our M2M SIM already can connect to 5G, not only in the Netherlands, but now we are also working to be able to have it roaming outside the world. It's not there yet, but it will be there soon. A good example of 5G and of working together with our customers is an example of EX Robotics. There's a small movie that explains a little bit about EX Robotics, but they work together with KPN in what we call the 5G field labs. Let's have a small look at that.
We design, develop, produce robots for heavy industry, and this is one of our products, the latest product, which we design for our customers. Our customers are working in oil and gas and chemical industry around the world, and the difficulty of that kind of environment is that you can have a leakage in an oil factory and a refinery, and if you have a leakage you can, of course, if you have a spark, an explosion. Now, electrical tools can spark, so you have a leakage, you send a robot and you have boom. And our robots are certified to operate in that kind of environment, so we can drive through a gas cloud without causing an ignition, and that makes it very special. If our robots are in the field, they operate in general autonomous, but if they detect something, if they detect a leak, or they detect a man down, or they detect something which is abnormal, you will instantly send a notification to the control room, so that an operator can take over the controls of the robot, investigate further, and take the proper action. I met KPN as partner in 2018 on a 5G field lab. We were then testing our robots and our connectivity, and together with 5G. So we built a robot with a 5G modem. At that time, 5G modems were this large. And we did a lot of testing, and actually what we learned was very interesting. What we need is always connectivity, low latency. And there the relation starts, and since then we cooperate as partners. 2 years ago we were standing on an event and we need to go on stage with a robot together with the Minister of Energy. And just before that event the robot was not connecting anymore. We didn't have the connection, so I cannot control it. And now I call KPN. Good thing about KPN, you can call them. And in 5 minutes I had an engineer online and he helped me out. He reconnect the robots. And the funny thing is we were standing in Saudi Arabia and the guy was sitting of course in Holland. And brilliant service. If you are a company which develops products like us, you have a lot of things to take into account. You have a lot of issues to solve. You have a lot of issues to scale up your business around the world. And everything which you can outsource that. There is enough to do. Find a good partner.
It's amazing video, Bram.
Yes, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Before you continue with your story, for the people who tuned in a little bit later, there's a second screen available. It's called Slido, on which you can ask your questions. Already a lot of questions are coming in from all over the world. So after Bram's story, we're going to dive into these questions. So feel free to answer your questions.
Thank you. Yeah, and let's go back to the story after EX Robotics. As you saw in the movie, EX Robotics is using the KPN SIM and is using our team to make sure that their products are working. They don't do that only in the Netherlands, that's easy, but they do that all over the world. That brings me again to another topic which is quite relevant. In the Netherlands, of course, we have total control of our network and all the things that happen over there. But outside the Netherlands, we also are well known by other operators. We are a tier 1 operator. We have connections to really a lot of networks all over the world, which is needed, which is necessary to make sure that your SIM always works everywhere.
What does that actually mean, a tier 1 operator?
Yeah, it's a good question. And well, it means that you're one of the players that are the backbone of the internet or the mobile connections to other mobile connections or fixed line connections. So it's not only mobile, it's also fixed line, fixed internet.
Okay.
Yes. So if we look at our SIMs, we sometimes call them the global SIM, the global IoT SIM. We cover almost the entire world. Worldwide coverage, we call that. And quite a lot of other parties, of course, can also say, well, we cover the entire world. But then the next step that you have to ask yourself is, okay, if I know the name of the country, is that enough? We in the Netherlands are very lucky to have a network with a coverage of 99 dot whatever percentage of KPN covering the Netherlands. The same counts, by the way, by the other operators in the Netherlands. That's easy because we are a highly populated and a flat country. But if you are in countries that have lots of open nature, deserts, mountains, things like that, you have quite a lot of blank spots if you look at one operator. At that moment, it's very useful to have multiple operators available. And there is a KPN SIM coming in. We cover worldwide coverage with at least 2 operators if available in a country. And we focus to have them all available. And on top of that, we will not decide on which operator you will connect. It's up to the device to decide which connection it will make. We call that non-steered roaming. And non-steered roaming means the SIM is not pushing you to a specific operator. But sometimes you don't want to go to all the operators, perhaps they are too expensive or they don't work correctly with your device. Then we have again flexible tooling that allows you to say, well, just focus on these operators only and that's it. So the combination of these 3 things together makes sure that you have everywhere in the world always coverage. A good example of a customer that uses this global coverage is B Medical Systems. They are there already for quite some time, and B Medical Systems has built a cold chain that makes it possible to deliver vaccines all over the world. They do that especially, of course, in Africa. They did that already quite some time. You will see that in the movie. But now with COVID-19, they also were very easy and quickly being able to deliver those cold chains for the vaccines that we currently need all over in Europe and the rest of the world. Let's have a small look at the movie.
In the beginning, COVID was a surprise to everybody and a very challenging surprise to manage. The demand for our products has increased incredibly. Compared to last year, we are in a growth of approximately 350%. Being in this business for 40 years, we have built up a lot of experience, and not only a lot of experience in the cold chain, but into national programs. And that is something that became very helpful in the COVID crisis because many countries had to organize themselves at national level. And that is typically the expertise of B Medical. We are capable of defining and setting up an entire cold chain in an entire country in a very short period of time, which is 100% functioning. And we have been doing that in very difficult areas. You can think about the desert of Chad, or the Amazon forest in Brazil, or the difficult region of DRC, Congo. And all of these experiences have helped us a lot. So connectivity has been a crucial service part of our offering to the governments. And we identified that as a very crucial need, very early stage, many years before COVID. We needed a solid partner in telecommunications who was capable of providing us a service, but also being there to support us when there were challenging situations. The spread of the network that KPN has worldwide really coincided nicely with our geographical activity. For example, a country like Ethiopia, typically the ministries of health, they would have 40, 50 technicians to maintain the cold chain in an entire country, which in Ethiopia is a very challenging task because they would have to travel to the different locations to see if the cold chain was working or not working and needed a service or not. With digitalization, what we have done is we have increased the efficiency of these teams by an incredible factor, because from a central station at the Ministry of Health, they have the visibility of the entire cold chain in the entire country from one single spot. So that has a very, very big impact on the efficiency of the cold chain in a country. And I think that is really something which is very important, is to have not only solid products, but also solid partners.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it, to see what they are doing and what they now do with COVID-19.
Absolutely.
Making it possible for everybody to get the vaccine as quick as possible and keeping them cold enough. And they do that not only for COVID-19, but for all the other vaccines as well, all over the world. If you look over here, you see a graphic of the world with all the countries in the world, and every country that is colored, and you see it's more or less every country. We cover that with our global SIM. We divided that in some groups: Europe, Global Select, Global Extended, and the rest of the world, which are mainly there for you to have the best price for each region, making sure that it's possible. And it's not only the coverage worldwide with all the networks that there are over there. We also try to be there as quickly as possible with a 4G connection. So this graphic shows you every operator that has a roaming agreement with KPN being able to use 4G LTE in that country. And as you can see, again, that's almost everywhere. Well, having said that, going back to the service M2M connectivity, I do take another look at the chain. And I can tell you, if you look at that, we are able to control the entire chain, meaning we know the SIM card, we do special things with the SIM card, we place applications on the SIM card, we set up the SIM card on special ways. We can do that because we create and own the SIM card. The network as well, the entire network with strong roaming team. We have special settings within our network using private APNs for each customer, their own private APN, making sure that it's secure and that we can tweak for each customer what's really needed. Breaking out to the back end of your own system, doing that with all kinds of solutions that are always redundant. Breaking out to the internet is not just a pipe which is standing somewhere of an MVNO, but it's like this tier 1 operator that has a very strong connection to the internet. All these things make us being able to control the entire chain and being able to modify the situation just as what your solution needs. And we cannot do that if we were part or actually within the big company like KPN is, and I'm not saying that KPN is the big company like other multinational mobile operators, but in the Netherlands we are really the big player over here. But then again, such a large telecom operator, it's always difficult to be flexible, and you need, in this market, in the IoT market, you need flexibility. You need to be able to move to left or to right if you wish. And we can do that because we divided our group separate from KPN, being a team of about 100 specialists on IoT, helping you and making sure that it works. And again, 100 is also a lot. It's enough. If you are a small operator and small MVNO, most of the times I hear groups of 20 people the max. We are 5 times as big, so if you need 24/7 support, we can deliver 24/7 support. We can act quickly and rapidly on that. So there's the perfect balance, if you ask me, between a large corporate and a smaller company that's getting into this market. Well, and that team that I was talking about is a team of really specialists. We are from the Netherlands, and the Netherlands are well known, I think, sometimes about their way of working. We are we are innovative, we are resourceful, but we are also dedicated and reliable. If we want to have something being done, we go for it, and we do that. That's what the team makes the team. A good example, for instance, is again a movie that we will show to you from Latisse. Latisse is a company in the Netherlands that started to do something with their milk machines. Their milk machines, they are able to make milk for coffee, espresso, cappuccino, things like that. Well, espresso not, of course. Cappuccino, you need milk, and they created the machine, but they wanted to make it sure that it's always up to date and performing right. To get you a little bit in the mood, let's see the movie that Latisse made for this, and then I will go into that after that a little bit later. Let's see. It's nice to see that. And in the movie you saw the milk machine, and by the way you saw also the payment machine which was there as well. All kinds of devices that are connected with KPN SIMs. They have around 12,000 SIMs, 12,000 milk making machines over there in all of Europe. And what they wanted to do is they want to make sure that those machines are always up to date. Milk must be there perfectly. Sometimes they have firmware updates, things like that. So they wanted to be able to push firmware updates to the machine. They want to know if the machine is still working. So all kinds of information from the machine going to their backend system, but also information from their servers, like software updates going to the machine, being able to modify the device without going to those specific places all around Europe. But they had knowledge about milk and about making milk for coffee, but they didn't have any knowledge about how to make it able to connect those machines. And they first only thought about getting information from the device, being able to see if it still worked, yes or no. And together with KPN IoT, a team of people were, well, more or less joined in their innovation project to make sure that the device is doing the things that they are doing right now.
I actually remember them coming over here, and they started out with all these crazy IoT ideas, like let's make cappuccino coffee from afar, and with connectivity you can do that. But when they start looking at the business value, business first, technology second, it was much more about what you just say. Well, what software release are you on? Where is the machine and stuff like that? And all the fancy stuff. They started out with fancy stuff, but what was left over was the useful stuff as you that they're working with.
And as you can see it at the moment, they now have the possibility to spread it all over Europe. And perhaps they want to go further and go outside Europe as well. But therefore they thought ahead and also asked us for what are the possibilities over there. So to be sure, we introduced an embedded SIM in there, a chip SIM with RSP capabilities that could give them the flexibility in the future to swap to another operator or to swap to another situation in specific countries if needed. Currently, luckily, that's not the case for us, of course, but that kind of flexibility is something we are happy to give to our customers. And at that point you see, and that brings me a little bit back to what Babak was telling us, you see that also this company is trying to digitalize their environment, making sure that there is a platform for those machines being able to manage and control them from your desk all over Europe. So to wrap it up, if you look at M2M connectivity, it's a product, basically a SIM card with a data connection or voice and SMS, but there's more than that. We deliver not only that standard data connection, we deliver a global SIM, coverage worldwide. We make sure that you have always the best coverage with non-steered roaming. We do that with a team that wants to innovate, not only for your specific solution, but also to be able to see what happens in the IoT world, making sure that we are always one step ahead. If you think of RSP, if you think about 5G, all the kinds of things that happen over there, we are looking at the possibilities to make sure that we deliver a solution for you. And we do that, and that's perhaps the thing which is the most important. We do that with a dedicated team that is very flexible, that can work with your solution and find a way to modify or, well, call it standard M2M connectivity solution into a special situation dedicated for your IoT solution. That's more or less what I wanted to wrap up with.
Impressive story, Bram.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, and the audience thought so as well, because actually quite some questions came in when you were talking about the network capabilities. You can still ask your questions in slido.com, the second screen. It's below your screen at the moment. It's fairly easy, so if you want to ask a question, please do. And I suggest that we go to some of the questions. If you see the questions in Slido, by the way, there's an easy thumbs up. If you see a question that you wanted to ask, but it's already been asked, just give it a thumbs up and it will move up on the popularity scale. On top of the skill, if we look at that, is a question about people are wanting to hear about how KPN supports LTE-M and narrowband IoT on their international roaming SIMs. I'm looking at Paul and at Bram. Who of you would like to comment on that?
Yeah, happy to do so. So yes, indeed, those are the latest and newest network technologies. Everything to do with low data usage and high penetration into buildings, giving excellent coverage for sensors that consume not a lot of data. Our roaming partners are very much in the midst of making their networks ready to accommodate these kind of services. So today, I think it was also one of the slides in Bram's presentation where we showed the coverage of our roaming partners on LTM. By heart, it's something like we have now 17 agreements in place. So it's twofold, and not only them making their network ready to accommodate these technologies, but also the second, making sure we have roaming agreements set up with these operators in these countries to make it possible. That of course takes time, but everybody is in the midst of focusing on this, especially also because 2G and 3G networks will be obsolete in time, and that there will be new technologies like LTM and narrowband IoT to replace them from a usage perspective.
You're on this, and
absolutely.
And if one of your sales teams, this is typically something you will discuss. Where
yes.
are you located in the world?
Yep.
What's the coverage over there?
And we will have some recommendations about what's the best way to deploy your service. Okay. Looking forward also from a time frame with these networks that are becoming end of life. What's the best way to roll out? So we see typically people using modules that accommodate and LTM and 2G to make sure that there's no hiccup in service towards the future.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the good side of being one of the first to deploy your LTM network is of course that you have it available. But then the next question, of course, came: can we roam on other networks? And there we saw that we were actually one of the first to deliver an LTM network, and that we are now, as Paul mentioned, with almost 16 other operators connected with what we call a roaming agreement, meaning that we have discussed with that other operator how to be able to use LTM, but not only how to use LTM, but also use the special features which are there within LTM. There are features like power save mode, there are features like extended range, meaning you'll be able to save the battery with power save mode if you have a device that uses batteries, of course, which could be easy. And the other one, the extended range, will make it possible to have better coverage on places where there is hardly any reach at all. So we work together with those operators to make sure that these features as well work in their network with a KPN SIM. We do that now with 15 operators, 16 operators, but there are more operators that have LTM. Okay. About 45 to 50 operators in the world have LTM. Most of the times on those other operators you can also use the KPN SIM, but then we cannot guarantee that all these extra features will also work. And it's our goal to deliver top quality service, so we are after all these operators to make sure that they also get this roaming agreement with KPN. And now we see that some operators come to KPN because we were the pioneers in this field. So what are the tests that we have to do to make sure that LTM works, to make sure that roaming LTM works? And thereby you see that quite a lot of operators, if they are ready to go global, to use roaming, they start with KPN.
Roaming, obviously, is a big thing during this webinar, but I want to make sure we end on time. So we're going to the next question, and this looks a little bit like a technical question, but I think it's perhaps for you, Bram. I can imagine that people on the webinar have this question. For example, would you recommend CAT1 or CAT-M1 for sensors that consume less than 100 MB per month? This question is in terms of energy consumption, signal penetration, and bandwidth. If you're a manufacturer and you have a device, and these are some parameters that you work with, how do you respond to that?
Yeah, if we look at 100 MB, then that's already quite a lot for a CAT-M device. Of course it can handle around 300 kilobits per second. So you could manage to do in a month 100 MB, of course, but the main goal for an LTM device is to do less, is to do something around 50 MB. But it would be doable, no problem. It's not hard to do with an LTM device, but you have to think about, is that what I really want to do? Because perhaps you need it at once, quickly and rapidly, and then a standard CAT1 device would be better. Although, taking the entire picture in the mind, a CAT-M device, a module, is way cheaper than a CAT1 device, and that can save you about like 80% of the costs sometimes. So if you are thinking about really delivering a lot of devices and it must be on a lower price, then perhaps the balance is better to do with a CAT-M.
We talked about 5G quite a lot, which obviously the future #1 technology for connectivity. One of the questions is, does KPN already deliver 5G?
In the Netherlands, yes, we deliver 5G. If you look at the world, then we are working, for instance, with Swisscom to make sure that 5G is also available in Switzerland. But there is quite some challenge there again. Like what I said with LTM, it's quite difficult to make sure that a 5G network also is connected from the Netherlands to the other operator. Again, KPN is one of the front runners in that, making sure that we make sure that it all works, bringing not only the simple data connection up and running, but also in the future making it able to make sure that all the other features of 5G will be available outside the Netherlands. Yeah. But at the moment, no, not that many solutions are available on 5G outside the Netherlands with a KPN SIM. But I don't think that, and that's something, let's then discuss that with you. What kind of a solution do you have, and is 4G not enough at that moment yet?
If I remember correctly, the EX Robotic case was something like that. They came in with this 5G capabilities, and it showed that 4G was working fine, actually.
Maybe also good to mention that the whole infrastructure on our side, like the SIM card, the Jasper Cisco system, is already ready for 5G. So if you use KPN SIMs, if the 5G comes available from a SIM perspective, you can already use it.
Yeah, and we see with the sunsets of 2G and 3G, especially 3G in Europe, we see that now people are more and more working to be able to roam with 4G and 5G SIMs outside the home country, and that will give a boost to roaming agreements on 5G.
Yeah. Cool. I'd like to ask the producer, but we cannot see all the questions in our screen. Paul, one I would like to ask you, because this is typically a first question I can imagine, is what is needed to connect a rail freight wagon to be able to be detected by the train driver? What's your response if a customer says, hey, I've got this freight train and my driver wants to have more information about this? Can IoT fix this?
Well, it really depends on. So the quick question is, the quick answer is yes, it's no problem. We can fix that, but we have to, of course, dig into what's the question behind the question. What kind of information is needed? So, what would you need? It's a device which switches or connects it to the freight wagon on the railway. And there needs to be a train driver device that can receive data and translate that data into actionable data. Like, I need to slow down because I'm nearly reaching the freight wagon, but it all depends on what exactly is the case. So what's needed, a device on the wagon, a device on the train driver, and then all the things in between I think we need to discuss and build a solution for that.
Yeah, and there you see, sorry to interrupt, but there you see again that most of the times people think that if you have, like, for instance, if you have a doorbell and a door, and if somebody presses on the bell, then the door could open, that they are connected to each other. But actually, all the way, the bell is connected to a back-end system. The back-end is connected to the door. So it always goes via some central system.
Yes.
That will also be the case in this situation. So the person in front, although he's close by, the back-end system is the one that's in the middle.
Yes. And looking for value for the train driver,
Exactly.
that's the key question, and
Yes.
then the technology will make it work.
Maybe also good to mention that we are one of the operators which has the lowest latency compared to other competitors of ours. So if we take the example of Bram, it won't take ages between pressing the doorbell and opening the door. We have a very quick turnaround time of data packages, so that should give a very nice result. We also use that capability for video streaming and stuff like that, or broadcasting even television information.
Well, as a director of IoT Academy, when we endorse making things connected, I hope that we start connecting doorbells all over the world, or freight trains, or whatever.
Yeah.
We've come to the end of this webinar already. It's only been an hour. Bram and Paul, thank you very much. And for the listeners, thank you very much for all the questions you've asked and the time you spent with us. Before you leave, we ask you one thing, and that's for the people who activated Slido to answer 3 questions, very easy, then you can go off for dinner. We're doing this for the international customers for the first time, so we're very much looking forward how we can meet you the next time and what topics we could discuss. We weren't able to answer all the questions, unfortunately, but perhaps we see each other again during another webinar or in real life. For now, have a good evening and enjoy your night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Does your business operate internationally? And do you want your devices to be connected at all times? When you operate in multiple countries, or even on different continents, you always want to be sure that your devices are using the strongest and most reliable connection. KPN IoT is the international partner for all your connectivity needs. With us, you can count on a strong and reliable connection, anywhere and anytime. How? With our global coverage of 600 partnering networks, we've got you covered wherever you go. And that's not all. With our non-steered roaming, the best available connection will be selected automatically. Unlike with steered roaming, where SIMs don't immediately switch to a better network, but try to keep connecting to the preferred and possible weaker signal, which means you could be stuck on a less reliable connection for a long time. So, non-steered roaming is the way to go for all your connected devices worldwide. KPN IoT provides you with a single SIM card that grants access to the best networks worldwide. With over 600 partnering operators across the globe, plus multiple connections in each country and non-steered roaming, you are always connected to the best and most reliable network. Want to know what we can do for you? Go to our website and get in touch.